everyone, this is Yibin, and today we're going to have a discussion with Ahmed, who teaches economics at UCL and win the Inspiring Teaching Awards over 1,400 nominations last year. Hi, Ahmed.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. Happy to be here.
Can you give us a short introduction about yourself and the course you teach at UCL?
Yeah, so my name is Ahmed Saade, and I last year I taught two modules at UCL. I taught the introductory economics module, which has a bit of everything, right? The macro, micro, it's the first year module basically. And I taught the world economy module, which has a bit of trade, a bit of finance, very interesting module.
Courses you teach at UCL sounds very inspiring and interesting. So can you give us a little bit information on when did you start to be interested in economics and how did you come to economics?
Yeah, so how I started to be interested in economics, basically, as a teenager, I guess I was interested in history and geography, particularly geography. And I come from a country, so I'm from Lebanon, and my country is very poor. Actually, you can follow it now on the news. We have a huge economic crisis, but it's very poor, and but we're run by very rich people, extremely rich people. So you start asking yourself questions, right? I mean, do these people really understand the people they govern? That's number one. Number two, my city in Lebanon, which is Tripoli in North Lebanon, is the poorest city in the country. However, it used to be the richest city in the country. It used to be an economic hub. It used to be a cultural hub. It used to be called the city of scholars. And when you look at it now, it's famous for all the wrong reasons. So you just start asking yourself questions, and that's how I guess I started being interested in economics or political economy, to be more precise.
I'm sure you have enjoyed this academic year because as we have mentioned about, we have won the Inspiring Teaching Award. So can you share us about why you want to be a TA and what's your favorite part about being a TA?
Yes. Okay. So, how did I start? I mean, how did I become a TA? I wasn't really, looking for it. To be honest with you, I never thought I would teach. That's number one. But basically, what happened is that it was the opportunity to be a TA at UCL in particular that interested me because I used to read a lot of the work from UCL professors, Wendy Carlin, Imran Rasul, who his work has nothing to do with mine, but he always has interesting experiences or experiments around the world. So that's how it started. And when I got the opportunity, I jumped on it immediately, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving the teaching, the staff, the students, extremely bright students. What I enjoy the most is it's a bit selfish on my on my behalf. It's that I get to learn as I work. There's this saying that says the best way to learn is to teach. And that's very, very true because you keep on learning, you're preparing for your classes, you're having discussions with geniuses, and also you have to answer the questions of your very bright students. And sometimes, let's face it, sometimes you don't have the answer, right? So you tell them, I'm going to look into it, etc. And you're learning from the students, from the professors, and from your own self because you're reading to prepare your classes. That's what I love the most about my job is that I get to learn as I work.
And also this year has been very meaningful to you. So is there anything funny or touching moment you can recall from this year?
Too many, unfortunately. Do you prefer touching or funny?
Let's go with both.
Let's go with both. Okay. Touching. Well, this year was very, very difficult for students, especially first year students, right? The thing when you arrive at a university like UCL, you're a first year student and you arrive, you're very intimidated. you're intimidated by the institution, but particularly by the other students. Okay, and many students, they thought they weren't good enough, and the reason behind that is remote learning. In a remote learning setting, you're not in class, you don't talk to your friends, you don't see that they have difficulties just like you do, right? Whereas, so the problem with when you're learning online, you think that everybody's a genius and that you're not good enough. So that was a problem we had this year. And the most touching moment for me was at the end of the year. They simply, when they say thank you, and they become even more interested in economics, and they're really excited to continue. This was the most touching moment for me, because you feel like you're actually doing something. Funny moment. Funny moment. I was teaching in face to face once, in term one, and in Drayton House, and basically after I finished my class, the students, they went, I mean, remember, they were in a remote setting usually, so after the class they want to get to know each other, and they went to a restaurant or a coffee shop or something, and I went back to teaching. Anyways, that same night, one of these students, he calls me to ask me a question about the material, and I said, "Ah, hi, yeah, tell me, how was the thing you did after class? I mean, did you enjoy spending time with your friends, etc.?" He's like, "Yeah, we had a lot of fun, but you should know something." I said, "What?" He's like, "Everybody's scared of you." I thought everybody liked me. I said, "Are they scared of me?" He's like, "It's because of your eyebrow, because of your scar." I said, "Sorry, I cannot change anything about this." But anyways, after that, in class, I started smiling more, joking about it, etc. And yeah, I think it made the atmosphere a bit more comfortable for everyone.
Yeah, actually, I think you are very, very easygoing person. I feel very comfortable talking with you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So, is there any special tricks you know to keep students engaged in this remote study?
Special tricks. I don't know if they're special. Well, first, remote learning, the problem most people face is that students have their videos off, right? So the first trick I would say is make them turn their video on. As simple as that. So seriously, I used to go over them name by name. Okay, video on, video on. The first couple of weeks, it's a bit weird, but then they come to class and they have their video on. I tell them, even if you're in bed with your pajamas, videos on, unless they have special circumstances, of course. So that's number one. Number two, I like talking about the limitations of our models, and thus the limitations of our policy making, because it makes them think, right? This is something I like to do a lot, because uh, my guess is that when you're a first year student and you come and you learn all these models, you think that they're perfect, etc. But if they were perfect, then our policy making would be perfect and the world would be a wonderful place, which it isn't, unfortunately, right? So we have these discussions, and it makes them think about, or critically think about, the things they're learning. That's what I like to do.
So, if you can go back to the beginning of the academic year, what new approaches that you might want to try?
New approaches I want to try next year. Actually, a few days ago, I was attending a conference organized by CTAIL, the Center for Teaching and Learning Economics at UCL.
Mhm.
And one of the panelists proposed an idea he or she was implementing in their class. Um, Basically, he would start with his class with a real world problem,
Mhm.
right? Make
Yes.
the students think,
Yeah.
and then move on to the material. Now, what I used to do in my tutorials is the opposite. We used to go over the material, the theory, do some exercises, and then we finish the session when we have time. We finish the session with a real world application. So I think I want to try this thing because I find it very interesting. Uh, the other way around. Start with a real world problem, then we do the theory, then the exercise. I think that could be very interesting.
So let's come to the last questions. So, is there any of your favorite books you want to recommend to us?
Yes, actually, thank you for sending me this question. As a matter of fact, I have prepared two books for you. The first book is, well, the reason I prepared two books is because the first book is a French book, and I'm not sure there is a translation. If there is, it would be amazing. So the first book, I don't know if you can see properly. The translation of the title is Discourses on the Origin of Inequality. Okay.
Hmm.
The story of this book is very interesting. Basically, there is in the mid of the 18th century, in a city called Dijon in the east of France. They have an academy, a small university or an institute, if you want, and they organized an essay competition. And the topic of this essay competition was, what are the origins of inequality among men, and is it justified? That was the topic of the essay. And they received 12 essays, the most famous being the one by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Discourse on the Origins of Inequality among Men, Origins and Foundations of Inequality among Men. But the funny thing is that he did not win this competition. He came second. But I love this book because it shows you how people used to think. The second book is by Joan Robinson. I think most economic students know her. If they don't know her, I encourage them to read her work. I love Joan Robinson. I love the way she writes. I love her ideas. She thinks out of the box. And this book, The Economics of Imperfect Competition, basically she talks about monopolies, monopsonies, imperfections
Yes.
in a very simple language, no complex math, okay, graphs. Very, I think it is a book everybody should read to learn how to write and how to phrase your arguments in a simple way so that people can understand. I can assure you that this book, even people with very small notions of economics can understand it. I just love it.
That sounds a very good, like a very good model to know how to write an argument. I think I will need that in my third year dissertation. Thank you for your recommendation.
You're welcome.